So we finally got to see behind that curtain and have the line I've been waiting for. Are you a good witch or a bad witch? Of course, it doesn't really matter, because I don't think there's good or bad in either of them. Welcome to the heart of the stories we tell. My name is Rob, and tonight I will be reviewing Emerald City Episode 5 and the halfway point of the season, as we finally get the climactic confrontation as we see what happens when the witches come together. And I don't want to get too political about this, but it seems like a timely time to have a conversation about torture. And yeah, torturing Dorothy for information really didn't help, because she wasn't lying. And I am still curious exactly what it's going to mean when we see all of the witches together. The idea was brought up yet again of the fact of the Mother Witch, the one that birthed all of the witches. And the fact that obviously Tib was the last one. Well, unless Tib's the other thing that from the books, but that's a whole lot of stuff to go into. All in all, I am still enjoying the show. I'm enjoying the little twists and turns we get at each thing as we see how the fantasy universe is interconnected, the different empires, the idea of needing to build weapons, and I'm still leaning towards the fact that Dorothy's the beast that fell from the sky with a heart and with feelings, and she's the end of Emerald City, or, well, maybe the beginning of a new Oz, but either way we're going to have to wait and see. Before we go much farther, though, I do want to say Lucas's memory issues are something that I touch upon in one of my upcoming videos this weekend, as I talk about exactly who we are in memories, and different stories that affect them. But back to Emerald City, and the fact that we have some very unique situations going on tonight. But before we get into them, I need to throw this up here real quick. So once again, it's stop. Spoiler time. I think I'll start off with Lady Eve and Jack. You know what? It's an interesting story, an interesting take. The idea that someone needs a friend so bad, but doesn't know how to make one. And I kind of feel sorry for both of them, even though Jack's the slave in the situation. They're both really enslaved. They're both forced to walk a path they're not ready to. I loved the badass moment between Lady Eve and the wizard when she told him that, she just pretty much wanted to see his city burn, and that there was nothing he could do, and that even though she was the one wearing the mask, she could see through his. It was a great moment. It was a great scene. In fact, this episode was full of great scenes. I will say that Dorothy and the other witches kind of disappointed me, though. If you didn't know that the mother was going to be fake and really be the West Witch, you don't pay attention to TV. It's to the point where I actually felt like Dorothy should have been like, yeah, not falling for this. I know magic's real here. Not happening. And speaking of magic, how do you like what happened to Emmon? How do you like the idea that he thinks of Dorothy as powerful enough to knock him down with but a word, when we know it was a gun? And then again, there's also what the wizard knows, or doesn't know, and we're not entirely sure. I've asked this question before, but I will ask it again. Do you think this wizard's from Earth, or do you think that they're not going with that direction? The very act of recognizing that that was a bullet, the very act of recognizing how powerful of a weapon it is, gives us a clue in. Speaking of clue-ins, we get a little more on the good old Scarecrow's history, as we get a nice look at the idea that he fought and killed 10 men, even before he got any sort of upgrades, before he had any magic. And you know what? That means that Lucas is probably one of the best fighters in the kingdom, or, well, whatever he's going by now for a name. And the fact that Emmon knew him means that I think that there's going to be quite a connection there. I wonder if that's going to be how we turn him. Now, originally I thought Emmon was going to be our Tin Man, but that was before Jack took his fall. So let's talk about the Tin Man and his heart getting restarted. I'm not sure whether or not I liked the whole love story between him and Lady Evie, and her kissing him, and I don't know, it just doesn't feel very Tin Man to me. And it doesn't really make much sense in the narrative flow. I guess the idea of them both being outcasts and them both having their problems, and well, they all have their problems, every main character in this series does, starting with the witches and working their whole way through. But then I want to touch on just how this season, or how the episode ends, and the fact that we finally get the question answered with Pink Floyd. And Dorothy, you're not in Kansas anymore because you've come home to the Emerald City. Now, of course, we all know where they want us to go with this, and where he probably is going to, saying he's her father, or brother, or some variant thereof. And of course, Dorothy, you should work with me, and you give me the gun. I'm going to need the gun, along with, any other sort of technology you have from home, because I need to rebuild this, I need to redo this, and we need to fight this beast. Again, my theory is still that Dorothy's the beast. She's the thing that will end, or at least reshape, Oz. The whole idea of the science versus magic theory is an interesting one, and one that we've seen played out in many shows. So let's see how they handle it. In the original stories, Dorothy came from a time that was much simpler than ours is now. The idea that today, retelling the story, changes everything. I mean, think about it. The Dorothy in the 1920s and 1930s, even in the 1960s, couldn't bring an iPhone with her. Couldn't bring the concepts we have today. Technology advances at such a huge rate. I want to ask that question down below. At what point is our technology just so far advanced on our own that it might as well be magic? Let me know your thoughts. In the meantime, like, share, and subscribe to help build this community so that we can take a look at all of the stories going forward. Like I said, this Sunday I have a video going up about memories and the difference between nature and nurture, and whether or not your memories make you who you are, and the different stories we tell. But then join me back here next week as we see the next episode of Emerald City and explore all of the hearts of the stories we tell. Thanks for watching, and have a good weekend.